Hey everyone, the news doesn't stop because 10.1.7 has just been announced, and it's already on the public test realm. In fact, we actually have a rough release date for World of Warcraft's next patch too. It's called Fury Incarnate, which means it's probably all about Farak, or something else that's fiery and angry, and it features exactly what you would expect, an absolute ton of alt catch-up and a whole bunch of world building. There are zone-affecting Dreamsurges, Forsaken and Night Elf Heritage armor quest lines, finally, and the Night Elf one actually, I think, looks like what we want from the Night Elf one, and an absolute ton of data-mined class sets and weapons. Yeah, there's the incredible new ping system that is honestly a literal game changer, a host of new mounts, and even a Scarlet-inspired plate set. What could that mean? Well, let's find out today and dig right into the news. But just before that, if you want to support what we're doing, the best place to do that is over on our Patreon. The link is down below, where of course it's not just like, hey, throw money at us. No, there's actually things that you get. We have a whole bunch of awesome loot that is different every month, comes from our art team from the game studio. Here's a little look at this month's loot. I've got to say, like the pin especially, I absolutely adore. Podcasts. We've got a whole bunch of lower podcasts going on, early access to content, vlogs from me, and, well, as I often say, and more. So, you can check out the link down below. With that said, let's have a chat about Dreamsurges. Yes, the biggest bit of new content is Dreamsurges, and the best comparison here is Legion Assaults from patch 7.2, because they affect an entire zone and they change up how the zone feels. These are basically Emerald Dream invasions, and they rotate weekly between the Dragon Isle zones, permanently buffing the rares in the zone with fire, just fire for now, then opening a Waking Dream. Now, the buffs that we saw for the rares were quite neat. The mobs dropped flame pools that do percentage of HP damage, but also grant you 10% haste. And also, there's these summoned firebirds nearby. They heal mobs for a whole bunch until they're killed. Now, that's what's going on in the zone. The actual Dreamsurge itself, then, is a buff that applies to everyone in the zone once every 30 minutes. And the cool part is you can collect this coalescence item from the rares that you kill and from flying around to contribute to which buff comes up next. It's kind of like a little tug of war between players, I guess. Now, most of these are combat focused, yes, but there are some other ones that, as an example, double gold from mobs and gold from world quests in a zone, which is pretty neat. I mean, you could end up getting like 3 grand from a world quest. That's pretty good for a few minutes of gameplay. Also, adding items to the loot tables from the Waking Dream. So it does spice up the zone. And as for the rewards, we haven't been able to see much yet, but there are a whole ton of things that are being data mined that may show up. The one very notable thing is eye level 415 gear tokens that drop from rares, and a reward from the intro questline. Now, the description says that you can trade these tokens in for gear of your choice, but that's not been implemented yet in the PTR. Of course, 415 is pretty damn nice for catch-up. That more or less makes you ready to do anything in the game, like right now. We also then imagine they'll probably be upgradable, but again, that's not something I can confirm to you right now. But what's extra neat about the Dreamsurges is this is not just for the max level characters, because the entire zone gets a 25% XP buff. So between having double the gold, the XP, as well as more max level players in doing things, world quests and rares will be better for the leveling characters too once the patch drops. It's just a whole bunch of stuff. The catch-up drops may even show up for lower level characters as well. It would be pretty sweet if you dinged level 70 and just had a few bits of 415 lying in your bag. Of course, I'll keep you up to date with these as the PTRs roll on. There was also a quest in this that alluded to daily quests in the hub zone, so there's that, but we were able to complete it by just killing rares, so maybe these dailies will show up later. Kind of hard to say. Now, as for the Waking Dream itself, these seem to be just about killing specific mobs that are attacking from the dream, filling up a bar, and then killing a boss at the end for a chance of loot. Very much, standard fare, but I've got to say, it's barely working in the PTR, so we can maybe expect more to come there. As far as the story goes, there will be some, but we don't exactly have all of that yet. Finally then, Blizzard's announcement post says this: encounters with rare creatures and event bosses will have a chance at dropping upgraded gear. So, there you go. Overall, seems pretty neat for a thing to just go and spice up a whole zone with. And next, what should be some real good content. The Forsaken and Night Elf stories are not on the PTR, and they will not be on the PTR. Kind of like with the Orc and the Human ones, and that hopefully means Blizzard are really seeing these as about the same level of quality. It's just great that the whole storyline won't be spoiled in the PTR and we can experience it properly in game. Now what we do have is the armor, and I think they're pretty strong. The Forsaken have that kind of new Forsaken, like dark leather, sharp edge looking stuff going on. I suppose a bit like Sylvanas' guards from BFA, right? With of course this kind of neat looking coffin back piece. The Night Elves though, I think this is exactly what we wanted. Blizzard said that it wasn't ready to show just yet. You can kind of tell like the colors and the textures maybe need a bit of work, but it is that iconic Night Elf look from, say, the vanilla, like big cinematic. And that's really good because the Warfronts didn't give us that. So I think that's fantastic. And at least per the data mining, there's even a Moon Priestess inspired color option for this, which looks really amazing too. They're also, by the way, getting new customizations. The Forsaken get 5 new skin colors, though the female ones aren't up yet. And the Night Elves are getting new face and body tattoos, though those are also not in the PTR yet. So lots of stuff. I think if these quests are as good as the last batch of Heritage quests, with this armor, then honestly that's going to be an incredible patch day for Undead and Night Elf stands everywhere. And hey, maybe if you're a Night Elf, maybe we're gonna get some actually good Night Elf story. That'd be nice. Of course though, some of us do prefer a good hoofing, and that's why we've got some new Draenei stuff. We've not been able to see the story behind this, but apparently what happens is Velen is going to see a prophecy, basically of an unexpected penitence. And as a result, players can now have the Manary Eridar skin colors that I think a lot of people have wanted for years now. So, if you want to look a little bit more demonic, you absolutely can do that. Plot-wise, I have to imagine it is just a little splinter group of post-Legion ones that are maybe seeing their place in a new world, who knows. Anyway, without some of the effects and skin customizations, right now they really don't look quite right, but Draenei were actually disabled on the PTR, so maybe there will be more changes here before they actually release. I saw a lot of people being very angry at this on Twitter because, you know, oh, the full tattoos and stuff weren't there, but like, come on, they did turn Draenei off in the PTR. Maybe that shows us that they're going to ship more here. But I do agree, all of those like interesting different textures and like tattoos and stuff, we definitely do need to have those for this release. And I guess with this customization, yeah, Draenei Warlocks, your time has finally came. Let's talk about the new plotline then. So the roadmap says this: Reforging Tyr and more. So there we go. That questline will continue with us finally getting to see what the big man himself has actually been up to. That will be a fairly large moment for our aspects, but also for us to ask him a bunch of questions. Take, for an example, the Alexstrasza Viranoth dialogue that happens after you do the Dawn of the Infinite Mega Dungeon, right? Where Viranoth's like, hey, the eggs, what the fuck, man, you let that happen. Alexstrasza agrees that it was a atrocity, but what happened with the eggs was clearly done, like, by the Titans, and Alexstrasza didn't step in, or like, you know, by the Titan-aligned forces, which probably means that Tyr did it. So I imagine that's going to play in here. Now, this is not on PTR just yet, so we know nothing, except that we do know that one part of the mysterious more may be to do with Emberthal, because a data-mined Traveler's Log objective points towards a quest that's called A Single Wing, which is a part of the Reconciliation questline. So I suppose that maybe is a continuation, maybe a Drakthir epilogue quest, right? So we can sort of wind them down and move on to other things. Maybe it'll bring Emberthal in as more of a formal leader of the Drakthir, who probably will become then part of Dragon Society as a whole. Right, we could speculate in this one for days, but the ultimate answer is we have no idea where it comes from, but what we do know is that these are absolutely gorgeous and that they are class sets and that they go with class weapons that have recently been data mined. I mean, this may be some of like the best non-tier armor that we've like ever seen. I mean, we've got a reimagined and upgraded Herod armor, which is sweet. So that just looks menacing. These sets are just, yeah, they're looking absolutely incredible. I don't know how we're going to get them though. Now they may come from a new form of Mage Tower-like content, though that's entirely speculation. I remember Blizzard saying that that's the sort of thing they would like to do in this expansion, but who knows? Maybe these will be from patch 10.2 because there are new open world challenges coming per the roadmap, whatever that means. These may be from Dreamsurges in some way, though that would really, really confuse me. I don't think it will be that. What does match up, though, is that these are unused, brand new, and pretty amazing looking. And to me, that means that they're probably going to be from something like a Mage Tower. Some sort of major feature, because you look at these sets, they look fantastic. I don't think Blizzard would waste them on some small thing. I think it's for a major feature. So absolutely, keep an eye out for that. The ping system, finally it's here! Just like in Overwatch, you can now ping locations in the world and even other characters via their unit frames. Just tapping the button and then clicking gives you a normal ping, but you can press the button, you can click and drag to get like an option of different pings, calling for help, warning someone, saying you're on your way, or telling people to attack. It's a little rough around the edges right now, but as it is, it works perfectly. It just needs a few little touches like, say, a ground marker. Now, it even comes with chat commands, target conditionals as well, which means that you can macro these however you want. Now, if you're worried about these being overly spammable, you can only ping 3 times in quick succession before it goes on a short cooldown, and apparently in raid groups, only the leader and assist can use it. A little bit like, say, with markers and pull timers. Now, we haven't been able to test that part of it yet, so maybe take that with a grain of salt, but in a party, everybody could use them freely. Honestly though, 10 out of 10 move, Blizzard. This is a massive game changer for explaining tactics and communicating on the fly without voice or without text. I've got to imagine for pugs, that will be pretty fantastic. So in mid-August, as we know, we're going to see dragon riding coming to Kalimdor in a limited event called the Kalimdor Cup. That will still be during patch 10.1.5. Now, the public test realm added one for patch 10.1.7 called the Eastern Kingdoms Cup, and that's penciled in for the 4th of October. And just before that, on the 19th and 20th of September, Pirates Day and Brewfest happen, and both of those are included in the holiday reward update that is in this patch alongside with Hallow's End. And that basically means we're going to see this patch launch before that, so maybe a week before that, on perhaps the 12th of September, which is only 8 weeks away. That is goddamn fast. There's also some Datamining stuff about possible Brewfest dragon riding, which I think would be absolutely sick, and that does bring me onto the new rewards. So people have Datamined new holiday-themed dragon riding customizations and a candy cane sword. I guess about time that stuff saw some love, and adding dragon riding to Brewfest is one hell of a way to do it, and I suppose crash and injure yourself horrifically. Or perhaps we could take the view that the best thing about having a dragon is that it gets to be your designated driver, meaning you can get absolutely wankered. Okay, mounts. Let's talk about some mounts. An icy version of the Obsidian Worldbreaker, called the Azure World Chiller, will be the, I think, 19th anniversary mount, along with the little Frostwing pet. There's a ginormous Gurlock that apparently is attached to the in-game shop, which, based on the last Murloc stuff, probably means it's going to be tied to BlizzCon. Perhaps then that will be one of the virtual ticket rewards. There's also the Icy Infernal and Fiery one that are coming to the trading post in the future as well. What about class changes then? Well, right now, none have been announced so far, except for a bit of a work in progress rework for the Mistweaver's Manatee. We also do expect rogues to get a mage level rework or similar. That could be in 10.1.7, it could be in patch 10.2. Now, of course, this could all develop extremely quickly, so absolutely check back in next week for more. Okay, is that it? Well, that's it for the PTR news. There will definitely be more coming hot off the presses as the builds come in. There's also, though, some live news, so let's have a bit of a chat about that. Alright, the emergency maintenance and the buggy patch launch. You may not have noticed if you're NA, but EU actually had a bad time with the launch this time around. Emergency maintenance took the game down for most of Wednesday after the patch went live, and ever since, we've had, a bit of a nightmare finishing time rifts. Instances crashing, you just getting booted out with no rewards, rewards not dropping, you not getting credit for things. Something's clearly borked here, but seemingly mostly in the EU side. But if anything, I do think that there's one group we can squarely blame for this, and that is the North American players. You guys are supposed to be our beta test, so if we have bugs, it's obviously your fault. But in all seriousness, this is a rare enough thing, so maybe Blizzard does just need to slow down just a little bit, smell the roses, make sure that their servers don't explode. Kind of unfortunate. Okay, next then, we have a bit of a secret feature. This may not help you get it because the chance is still low, but if you want that Evoker Legendary, you're in luck. Bad Luck Protection is being added, which increases the chance for it to drop every time that it did not show up for you. So make sure to get a good old Sarkareth kill every single week, and maybe you'll get a shiny glove. Who knows? Okay. Next expansion hint. So I covered this briefly in yesterday's video, as well as a bunch of 10.15 story. Absolutely check yesterday's video out. But for a super quick recap for the sake of the news here, there was a new 6-month sub mount. It's a gorgeous aquatic flying koi fish. It's called the Wondrous Wave Whisker. It's really pretty. But also I think it's a big tease, because there's been many cases where models from the next expansion have appeared in store mounts or promotional mounts, right? And this does seem to be no different. The Fey Dragon showed up in MoB, but it was a thing in WoD. The pre-Legion Rune Saber ended up being part of Suramar's design. The Sylvarin Dreamer, that ended up being an Ardenweald mob. And then the Sapphire Skyblazer is used for the Jaradine birds, right? So this koi is probably from the next expansion. Now, it's got a description saying that they were saved from extinction by the Ankoan. The armor on it does look pretty damn close to certain Elvish and Naga designs too. So this isn't definitive, but it does line up with some past evidence. It looks like at least part of our next expansion will see more Naga, maybe see the Ankoan again, and perhaps like a sort of colorful underwater sea, something like that. Other side of Azeroth, maybe another place entirely, who exactly knows? It would be weird to see a peaceful, pretty void planet. Anyway, that's my read, and honestly with this one, I will put money on it that this mount will be in the next expansion in a form that is not a mount. And that's it, except for 2 things. Number 1, the picnic basket. If you watch an eligible Twitch streamer for at least 4 hours, you'll get a picnic basket in the game. Once that's done though, come back here and watch our insanely foreshadowing 10.15 story video and everything major that you need to know. It's a really good bit of content, and that foreshadowing line was a great joke because with that being said, goodbye! Except not goodbye. Final thing, want to support what we do? Get a bunch of sick loot? Some podcasts, behind the scenes, vlogs for me? Well, you can get that on the Patreon. The link is down below. That's the best way to support what we do. All right, World of Warcraft seemingly up. I'm pretty damn jazzed about that. Have a great weekend. See you next time.